The 18th season of All Andy Alfred begins tonight as we hit the panic button. Panic attack! Panic attack! The Tigers! Oh, the Tigers! Panic attack! Guardians are finding a way. The Reds are finding a way as well. The Walleye are signing players that are coming back. But it's been a long time coming. The schedule has been released in the NHL. The women golfers are over in Scotland. Well, the Greater Toledo Classic has just ended. And a girl from Columbus, 17 years of age, wins the tournament. You're wondering why I have these glasses on my face. You're wondering where have I been since I last talked to you. All that's going to be resolved tonight. Everything. I have a full tank tonight. It's going to be a long show. Get the popcorn ready. Get the sodas ready. Get a water ready. Because it's time for All Andy Alfred as we begin season 18 of All Andy Alfred. And for the first time in a long time, I am proud to say, I love you guys! And a very pleasant good evening to you and welcome to All Andy Alfred right here on your exclusive home for me, and that is with the Riverside Podcast Network through the All Andy Alfred Podcast Network. And you're listening to me tonight on the plethora of platforms with the All Andy Alfred Podcast Network, whether it be on Apple Music, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Bleaker, however you listen to our show, wherever and whenever you're listening. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. Thank you for tuning into the show tonight and being a part of the show tonight as well, and hearing what's happening in the sports world as well as what's happening in my everyday life. And you can be a part of our show by following us on Twitter. It is at All Andy Alfred. It is at All Andy Alfred, as well as Facebook.com/All Andy Alfred. And welcome to the show tonight, episode 1 of season 18 on this, the 27th day of July, 2025. And it is truly a pleasure to be back with you guys tonight on All Andy Alfred. Of course, we've been off for a month, of course, as we were on a little bit of a hiatus to, after the Walleye playoff run that was. And you'll hear my take on that tonight, as well as what's happening on the pond as well. We took some time off. I got myself reevaluated. Was not feeling myself, and and we'll get right into what's going on with me. Of course, you're seeing this. I'm wearing glasses. Now, I don't need these glasses all the time. It is when I am looking into blue light, when I'm staring at a picture for a long time, or whether I don't need this on a daily function. I'm using these glasses to help me with the blue light situation, as well as helping out with a little bit of my reading. I went to the optometrist, and by the way, Dr. Bourbon, right there at the in the Target Ophthalmologist Center on Monroe Street. Fantastic doctor, and the ladies over there are absolutely fantastic. I went in for an eye exam. He told me I had 20/20 vision, but my right side is starting to, start to dwindle because I'm 35 years of age, and so my age is catching up to me. So he says, I'm going to prescribe you a small prescription for glasses, and you don't need to use them all the time, but when you're staring into a long light for a long time, and to also help yourself out, we're going to prescribe you some glasses. And that's what I am wearing on the side of the face. So there'll be shows where I'm wearing these glasses. There'll be shows where I'm not wearing glasses. So be prepared for that. I'm just going to let you know that right now as you're watching us on YouTube, or if you're following along on any of the platforms that you listen to the podcast, just you can visualize me with glasses. Now, the second part. I've been seeing a new doctor, and I've been checking in on it. I was diagnosed with an anxiety disorder. I've been given a couple I've been given a vitamin D pill, and just routine checkup stuff that I had done, and had some blood work drawn. Found that I was vitamin D deficient. I also was like I said, dealing with anxiety and having an anxiety disorder, and they just diagnosed it with that. So they put me on anxiety medication. Also, I am on a Lexapro, so I am on a weight loss medication. I have actually down. I was at one point 292. I'm now down to 277, and we're working our way down the mountain when it comes to yours truly losing some more weight. But it's not going to help with football season coming around the corner. And so there's that. The house is doing well. Amanda's doing fantastic. Other than those things, I'm doing well. Everybody's asking me, are you going to be doing another show soon? I plan on trying out for Christmas Carol again. I liked what I did last year with Moon Over Buffalo, and I still love that cast, and we still talk to this day. And I love comedy, and I love the theater, and I love musical theater too. It's a little bit of a question mark if I'm going to do it. It really is. That's really what it is. And I've heard some good stuff. I love Gail, and I love Abby, and all the crew and all the cast and all the alumni cast that I know. And it's going to be a question mark whether I'm going to do a show. And there's also a question mark if I'm going to do a show this upcoming season. Now, the rep season this year has a little bit of a, it's kind of a 50-50 kind of thing. I do like Fiddler on the Roof. I would try out for that. I have sang some songs from Fiddler on the Roof from my high school days. But that would be the show I would go out and go after if I do decide to go back into the theater and do another show. But the thing is, with me, it's like I want to take care of myself, take care of my family, and take care of taking care of my health. And that's my first priority. My first priority is myself and my health. My second priority is my wife and our family and their health and their happiness. Those are the two main goals. And then after that, we can have some fun. And of course, this podcast. I love doing this podcast. And we're getting ready for the big time. It's that time of year. Of course, you know what I'm talking about. We got football coming right around the corner. And these guys right here, Bowling Green, programming notes to let you know. We will be covering a lot of BG football this year because of the fact that yours truly has season tickets. We're going to be going down to Dwight Perry Stadium many, many times this year to see the new head coach of Eddie George and the Bowling Green Falcon football team. Now, and I'm going to get into them in just a second. So there'll be a lot of broadcasts, a lot of audio. There won't be any video. There'll be a lot of audio broadcasts of us doing the podcast down either in the tailgate lots or inside Dwight Perry Stadium. We'll be there. We will be definitely in Bowling Green a lot this year for football down there. So if you see me, say hello. We'll maybe get you on, get you a little bit of a quick interview, see your feelings on Bowling Green football this year. Also, the Lions and the NFL slate, of course, we're going to plan on having an NFL preview show. It's going to happen probably in the next few weeks, so stick with that. Of course, we'll bring in our good friend Logan Carr and another guest to come on the show to talk NFL football and preview the season. Also, we will dive more into the college games, well, to Ohio State, Notre Dame, and of course Bowling Green being the primary coverage, of course. And of course, hockey will be right around the corner after that. We'll have exhibition games with the Blue Jackets, of course, the Red Wings. The Jackets will be playing in Detroit twice this year, once in November and then again in March and April. I forget off the top of my head what the date is, but they'll be playing then. We look forward to covering those games. We covered the Jacket season as well as what's going to happen on the ice with the walleye as well too. And that's where we're going to lead off tonight with right here. And by the way, again, you can follow us on Twitter. It is at All Andy Alfred, as well as Facebook.com/All Andy Alfred and YouTube.com/All Andy Alfred hangout. So my take on the walleye season from this past year, it has been disappointing. It was honestly disappointing to see this team fail to get in and win the Kelly Cup, and the performance that they had in those games, from game 2 to the elimination game, was just hard. It was hard to take. It was hard to process, and as a walleye fan for the longest period of time, when are we going to see the results? When are we going to see the results? This team this year was a veteran-laced team, had the best opportunity, got finally over the hump of the Western Conference Finals, beating Kansas City, and doing that, winning the series against Kansas City, taking Game 1 of the Kelly Cup Final, and just punching Trois-Rivières in the face. You figured that Toledo was going to do it, but then they ran into the hot goaltender. And that's what really kills a lot of playoff momentum, a lot of speed, and Toledo could never capitalize off of it. And yet again, another season that the Fish do not bring a championship to Toledo, and another year that Toledo does not get a championship in hockey. And we continue this downward spiral that is the lack of championships in the city in minor league sports. The last championship to take place, 2006, with the Toledo Mud Hens winning the Governor's Cup over the Rochester Red Wings in Game 5 of the Governor Cup Final. And they're getting ready to celebrate the 2005 championship 20 years is upcoming in the next, not this upcoming homestand, but the following homestand. So bear in mind that. But again, disappointing performance for the Walleye this year. And, it's good to see some of these players coming back, like Brandon Hawkins, and of course, and I said this to many people off air and in private. I thought that Hawkins was going to retire at the end of the season. I thought that he was going to step away. It felt like he was going to step away from the season. But, if he still feels like he's got another chance, this has got to be it. You can't be an ECHL lifer the rest of your way. You can't keep playing in 3 hockey, and you can't keep doing it. Time is going to come up. Your time is going to come up, and that's how it's going to shape up. So, disappointing, and I like that we got Sawyer back. I like we got Craig's back. I like that we picked up all these players. But goaltending is where it's going to be needed, and the defensive core is what's going to be needed. Absolutely. We need to be better on the defensive side of the puck, and we need to be better in the goaltending realm, especially now with Jan Bednar not going to be back with the Fish this year. That's definitely a blow. We hope that Carter Geilander will stay with Toledo, or he'll get picked up by the Red Wing affiliation up in Grand Rapids to come down to Toledo to play. But we shall see. It's just going to be one of those seasons, I think, Toledo again for the Fish. I can't make a judgment call as of yet. We got to see what the rosters look like. I know it's the end of July into August. Once we get to the end of August, beginning of September, that's when we'll take a look at what the rosters look like. And, when training camp's starting for the NHL, that will be the real test, as well as when they go up to Traverse City for the tournament. And by the way, our thoughts and prayers are with the people of Traverse City for what that horrible, horrible incident that took place yesterday evening with all those people that were stabbed in Walmart. Our thoughts and prayers are with the Traverse City and the people of Traverse City as well. Getting into the Jackets situation really quickly again. The Jackets, of course, schedule's been released, of course. What really got me so far this offseason with the Jackets, signing Charlie Coyle was a huge signing for the Jackets. I think that was a big move for them. Good big up piece for them. But for me, the loss of Justin Danforth is really, 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 really hurts. I think that he was one of the backbones of this team. A gritty player that loved the city, provided the game-winning goal in the Stadium Series game, and yet we don't. And he takes a 2-year, $1.8 million offer to Buffalo, New York. We couldn't offer him 2 for 2. We couldn't offer him at least that. What are we doing, Don? What are we doing? What, Dean? What are we doing? Why is it? What? We need a big piece to drop now. We need a big piece to sign. And I love it that the guys want to play, but then hearing about the oh my god, I forget his name off the top of my head. The one of the Russians that we want to play is deciding he wants to get out of Columbus. He wants out of Columbus. If that doesn't tell you something, and we're hearing now that Merzlikins is going to stay with Columbus. Tarasov's gone, so it's Jet Greaves is going to be the backup, which I think it's a great move. But I just don't see. I just don't see what this Jacket team is going to look like this year. I really don't. And like I said about the Walleye, I'll say the same thing about the Blue Jackets. We will not know what's going to happen with this team till about middle of August, when all the dust settles from this trade deadline and the off-season trading and all the players that are going to be moved. Monahan's going to stay, of course. But yeah, we don't know. We know Jenner's there. We know that Marchenko's there. We know that Sillinger's going to be there. But the question is, what's going to be there that help this team get to the ultimate goal is to win the Stanley Cup? Plain simple. What's going to be there? But we shall see what happens. We'll absolutely see what happens. And the rest of the league is going to be interesting to see how it's going to shake up. Of course, Florida winning the Stanley Cup, being back-to-back champions, beating the Edmonton Oilers. And Edmonton's window has finally closed. I think the window has closed. And now the question will be can Florida three-peat? I don't think they can, to be honest with you. I don't see them three-peating. I see them maybe getting into the Eastern Conference Finals this year. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's going to be an interesting season this upcoming year in the NHL as well as in the East Coast Hockey League. And we'll cover it all right here on All Andy Alfred as you're listening and watching the first episode of Season 18 of the All Andy Alfred Podcast Network right here on the All Andy Alfred Podcast Network. Whether it be on Apple Music, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Bleaker, however you're listening to us tonight, wherever and whenever you're listening to and watching us, thank you for tuning into the show. So, all right. I have to hit it. The panic button. About the boys in Mooktown. Now, the run that we have had with the Tigers this year has been absolutely tremendous. Torkelson hitting the cover off the ball, Riley Green doing fantastic, and Terrence Skubal on the bump is fantastic as well. The play of Javi Baez stepping up to the plate as well too, and then you have Perez, and all of it's worked for the first half of the season. They make the All-Star team. They lose the series right off the bat against Texas, and I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah. But then they were swept by the Pittsburgh Pirates. Lose 3 of 4 to the Toronto Blue Jays. And the Jays are our first place team. I'm going to say this. The panic button is there. I am slamming the panic button. We needed the win today. We got the win today 10-4. I'm fine with that. But now we have a 3-game series with Arizona on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, which could help us out in some aspects of this game. But for me is this. The Illiches have got to break out the checkbook. They've got to sign some players. They absolutely do. And if they do sign players, it has to be key pieces. We need help in the bullpen. We need help at third base. And we need a utility guy that can play at short, at second, or out in the outfield. That's what we need. Montero is not doing well on the bump. Flaherty has been wishy-washy. Scubal's only the bright spot in this whole thing. And God, I need him to re-sign with Detroit. He needs to sign with Detroit. He needs to get a long-term deal with Detroit done. And if they get him signed long-term, then this team might be for real. And if we get these pieces that we need, if the Illiches break out the checkbook and sign some players, Detroit might be a full-fledged contender for the World Series. Because what I've seen so far in the second half, oh God, I'm gonna look it up, and this is the Detroit schedule going forward the rest of the way this season, the second half. Of course, like I mentioned, 3 against Arizona to end the month of July. We get into August, 3 straight against the Phillies, including a Sunday night baseball game. Then 3 at home against the Twins. Then 3 against the Angels. 3 in Chicago against the Pale Hose. And by the way, the White Sox doing very, very well. Had that big game against the Cubs the other day. Absolutely destroyed them. But then today they came back to reality. And I'll get into Major League Baseball here in a second. But then 4 against the Twins. The Astros come to town for 3 games. 3 against the Royals. Then they go out to Sacramento to play the A's. And here's a weird routing. We go from Sacramento, Monday, the 25th of August, through Wednesday, the 27th of August, and then the 29th, they go to Kansas City. Sacramento, California, Kansas City, Missouri. Detroit, Sacramento, Kansas City. League needs to look into that. Then 3 against the Royals. You get into September, tough games. 3 against the Mets at home. Labor Day week. 3 against the Pale Hose. Then they go to Yankee Stadium for 3 games. Go to Miami for 3. And then it's 3 games against the Guardians. 3 games against the Braves. Then they go to Cleveland for 3. And then they end the season in Boston against the Red Sox. Again. If the Illiches want to make them a contender, they gotta break out the checkbook. And make it happen. Gotta make it happen. And on the opposite side of the lake, of course, the Guardians are there. You look at what they did. Split the doubleheader yesterday against the Royals. Lose today to the Royals. Now they have the Rockies for 3 straight games. Those are going to be a clean sweep. Clean sweep there. 3 against Colorado. They welcome the Twins in for 3 games, ending it. Then they go on the road to New York to play the Mets, go to Chicago to play the White Sox, come home to play the Marlins, and then 3 against Atlanta before going out to Arizona to play the Diamondbacks. And then 3 games against the Rangers. Tough games right there. And then Tampa for 3. Then Seattle for 3. Then they're in Boston for Labor Day week. 4 against Tampa, 3 against the Royals, 3 against the White Sox, then at home, then 3 in Detroit, 4 games in 3 days against the Twins, come back to play play back to Cleveland to play the Tigers, and then 3 games against the Rangers, and that's the end of the season. I say that because of what that's what the 2 schedules look like. Because Detroit right now is 61-46. Cleveland 52-53, 8 games out of first place. At one point, it was 17.5. Detroit is giving up this division. They're just giving up this division. And Kansas City's right there at 52-54, 8.5 games out. Minnesota 10 games out at 50-55. The White Sox aren't going to make it. They're 22.5 games out. But they've been better. They have been better lately. They're 38-68, 22.5 games out of first place. The surprise, of course, is what's happening in the American League East. Toronto, with the 3 wins against Detroit, are now 63-43. The Yankees are 57-48, 5.5 games out of first place. Boston 57-56, 6.5 games out. Tampa 53-53 at 500, or 10 games out of first place. And my World Series prediction, the Baltimore Orioles 47-58, 15.5 games out of first place. Ain't gonna cut it. The West is the Astros at 60-46, top spot. Seattle 56-54 games out of first place. Texas is 56-54 games out of first place. The Angels 51-55, 9 games out of first place, and the Sacramento A's at 46-62, 15 games out of first place. That's the American League. Now let's get into the senior circuit, of course. And let's talk about the Reds. The Reds doing very, very well as of late. They got the sweep against Tampa this past week with a 2-1 win today. They won on Saturday 6-2 and won 7-2 against the Rays on the week on Friday. After going into D.C. and losing 2-3 to the Nationals, but then taking 2-3 over the Mets, they now welcome in a huge series. Shohei Ohtani and the Los Angeles Dodgers come to Great America Ballpark. Huge series. Dodgers 61-45 going to the game. 3 games against the Dodgers. Then they host the Braves for 3 straight games, including the Saturday game, which I'm looking forward to watching a little bit. Saturday, 7:15 on Fox. Braves and Reds at Bristol Motor Speedway. That is the Speedway game in that one. Then they head to Wrigley for 3 games against the Cubs. Then they go to Pittsburgh for 4 games against the Pirates before coming back to play the Phillies for 3, the Brewers for 3, and then head out to the West Coast for 3 games against the Angels, 3 games against the Diamondbacks, 3 games against the Dodgers, and then they come back home to play the Cardinals for 4 straight games to end the month of August before they welcome in the Toronto Blue Jays for Memorial Day week. They will then host the Mets. They will head back to the coast to play the Padres for 3, the Sacramento A's for 3, then the Cardinals for 3. They'll end the season with 4 games against the Cubs, 3 games against the Pirates, and end in Milwaukee for 3 games against the Brewers. The standings for the National League look like this. The Reds, the Central Division, the Cubs at the top spot at 62-43. The Brewers are tied with the Cubs at 62-43 as well, too. The Reds are right there, 56-50, 6.5 games out of first place. The Cardinals 54-53, 9 games out of first place. The Pirates are 44-62, 18.5 games out of first place. National League East, led by the Mets at 61-44. Phillies are right there, 1 game behind at 60-45. The Marlins are 50-54, 10.5 games out. Atlanta 44-60, 16.5 games out. Washington 43-62, 18 games out of first place. In the West, the Dodgers running away with it at 61-45. The Padres are right there at 57-49, 4 games out. San Francisco 54-51, 6.5 games out. Arizona 51-55, 10 games out of first place. And Colorado is at 27-78, 27 wins, 78 losses. They're 33.5 games out of first place. And going into it really quickly, looking at the wild card situation, really quickly, So it's the Brewers, the Phillies, and the Padres, the top 3 wild card spots in the National League. The Reds are right there, 1 game out of a wild card spot at 56 and 50. San Francisco 54 and 51, 2.5 games out of a wild card spot. So any one of those 3 teams could be knocked out. The Brewers are 5.5 games up in the wild card spot. Phillies are 3.5 games up the wild card spot. The Padres are the 3rd wild cards team in that. And if you're wondering, Yankees, Boston, Seattle, and Texas are both tied for the final wild card spot. Then Tampa is 3 games out of a wild card spot, and Cleveland 3.5 games out of a wild card spot right now. So there is all that. Again, tonight, looking at the scores from around Major League Baseball that took place today, day games took place. The Yankees a 4-3 win over the Phillies. It was the Dodgers falling to the Red Sox 4-3. Cubs get the better of the White Sox today, 5-4, and bad blunders for the White Sox today in that game today. The Brewers a 3-2 win over the Marlins. The A's a winner 7-1 over the Astros. Nationals a 7-2 win over the Twins. Padres a 9-2 win over the Cardinals. Braves fall to the Rangers 8-1. The Angels a 4-1 win over the Mariners. It was the Pirates a 6-0 win over the Diamondbacks. And again, the Rockies fall to the Orioles today by the score of 5-1. Top of the 8th inning right now in Sunday Night Baseball as the Mets up 4-3 on the San Francisco Giants. By the way, the next series, big series for, like I said, the Dodgers-Red series, that's a big series. But like I said, that will be on Monday. They'll start tomorrow, Monday, 7:10, first pitch for that one. Guardians, Rockies, Blue Jays, Orioles. Tampa is in New York to battle the Yankees. Braves and Royals, Twins and Red Sox, Cubs, Brewers. That's a huge series that will determine basically who's leading the Central after that series. Phillies are in the South Side to battle the White Sox. Seattle is in Sacramento to play the A's in that part. Pirates are in San Francisco to play the Giants, Mets, and Padres. And like I said, the Tigers will take on the Arizona Diamondbacks in a 3-game series starting tomorrow night. It will be Eduardo Rodriguez for the Diamondbacks. He is 3-6 with a 5.50 ERA. It'll be Troy Moulton for the Tigers, who's 0-1 with a 10.80 ERA. 6:40 first pitch tomorrow at Comerica Park. So there's that. That is all of baseball talk right here. And I'm looking forward to that Speedway Series game with the Braves and the Reds. I'll probably be watching most of that, as well as watching, of course, SummerSlam that's happening. And I'll get into my wrestling takes here in just a second as well, too. And that as well. Mud Hens, they're okay this year. I wasn't expecting much this year for the Mud Hen team. This year, they went into Indianapolis, have lost a lot of their games. They come back home now this week to play the St. Paul Saints for a 6-game series. We'll see what happens. Looking forward to seeing when they play the Clippers in a couple weeks to see if Shane Bieber will be with the club. He just was supposed to make a rehab start today, but the Clippers game was washed out today at Huntington Park. So, and I was looking forward to listening to that game. Bob McElkin was doing the play-by-play for that one because Tom Hamilton was inducted into the Hall of Fame this weekend. So they called the Ryan Mitchell up from Columbus to do games this weekend in Kansas City, and Bob McElkin stepped into the plate to do games for the Clippers. And hopefully, if he does games, he comes up to Toledo to do games because I love to interview him. I would love to do an interview with Bob McElkin, pick his brain about the Blue Jackets this upcoming season. So we'll keep that in fingers crossed on that realm. So you're watching and listening to another edition, the first episode of Season 18 of All Andy Alfred right here on the All Andy Alfred Podcast Network, whether it be on Apple Music, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Bleaker, however you're listening, wherever and whenever you're listening. Thank you so much for tuning into the podcast tonight. And now I'm going to dive into some college football really quickly. Okay. So, if you haven't heard, if you're living under a rock, of course. Mid-American Conference just released the predictions for this upcoming season, for the college football season. And when they had Media Day this past week, it was great to see Media Day covering out and everything like that. I do have one thing to talk about really quickly. The talk is in 2026 that Michigan is going to play their first international football game in Germany, Frankfurt, Germany. It's great. You want to know who they're playing? Western Michigan University. Western Michigan University in Frankfurt, Germany. And Western's going to be the... first of all, what? What? You got to be kidding me. Western Michigan University. You can't get a bigger school. Now, I'm not dissing Western Michigan. I'm not dissing them. I'm not criticizing them. It's just the fact. It's just the fact that they are going to go across the pond, bring the MAC over to Germany to absolutely destroy them in Frankfurt. That don't make any goddamn sense. It just doesn't. It just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. They have to play a bigger school to get the publicity. If this is a week 0 game, you got to make the big publicity game. I mean, hell, Notre Dame plays Navy over in Scotland, and that drew a bigger rating. You think this is going to draw a huge rating? Only in the Midwest, in the Big Ten schools. That's what it's going to do. But the preseason poll, coaches poll, came out for the Mid-American Conference. University of Toledo is the number 1 team. They got 7 first-place votes. Miami, 2nd. Buffalo, 3rd. Ohio, 3rd. Buffalo, 4th. NIU, 5. Bowling Green's at 6. Now, we'll do a full preview of Bowling Green football this year on this podcast. And we'll preview the schedule again. Because the schedule is, I think, a little bit of a good schedule for Bowling Green this year. But some people have the University of Toledo at 10-2 this year. 10-2! And here's where they have it. This is according to, on Twitter, it's called College Football Home. They made their predictions for this upcoming season in college football. And they predict that Toledo's going to go 10-2. Here's where they have wins. Win at Kentucky. Ha! Win against Western Kentucky at home. I could see that. Against Morgan State. Win, yeah, I could see that. That's 2 wins. 3 wins there. They predicted against Kentucky. Beating Western Michigan. That's a win. Yeah. Akron. That's a win. They come down to the Detroit and they predicted that they're going to beat Bowling Green. You think you're going to beat us. You think you're going to beat us. Whoever did this must have been smoking some dope. Kent State, they predict they're going to win that one. I can see that. They go out to Washington State, they lose. I can see that. Going across country, it's going to be tough. Against NIU, they have them winning it. I see them losing. NIU's going to be good this year. At Miami of Ohio, yeah, that's a loss. And a lot of these games after the Washington State game are midweek action games. At home against Ball State to end their home schedule, they win. I can see that. And the Central to win. So they have them at 10-2, 7-1 in the MAC. 7-1 in the MAC. And just to throw this out there, where they have Bowling Green's prediction. I had to look it up because of this. They have Bowling Green at 5-7 this year. 5-7. We're at least an 8-win team this year. An 8-win team this year. Home to Lafayette, that's a win. Go to Cincinnati. It's a tough test. They have us losing that game. Home to Liberty. That could come down to the wire in that one. At Louisville, probably lose that one. At Ohio, probably win that one. Home to Toledo, and they call us a loss. I'll see it when I believe it. At home against Central, that's a win. At Kent State, that's a win. Home to Buffalo, they have it as a loss. At Eastern Michigan, they have us losing at Eastern Michigan. At Ypsilanti. Win against Akron. Win against UMass. 5-7. 4-4, tied for 8th in the Mid-America Conference. I don't think so. Eddie George and his team, I know they were behind the schedule because of the hiring and everything like that, and they were behind the 8 ball because of it. But they went out and got in the portal. They got a good quarterback. We got a good quarterback. We've got most of the team that is back from last year's run back again. The schedule is favorable towards us. You don't think that Bowling Green has the opportunity to maybe start something and finish something? It comes down to this. The schedule is tough for Bowling Green football, but I think that we can get the job done. We can get the job done, and we can win. Will we be contending for a MAC championship? I don't know. But can we get into a B Bowl eligible? Absolutely. Lose against Liberty. Ha! I know Liberty's a tough team, but lose to Toledo? Give me a break. If we beat Toledo, I guarantee you, the Toledo people will be calling for Jason Candle's head. Losing back-to-back years against Bowling Green. He doesn't have a good record against Bowling Green. He doesn't. Doesn't believe in the rivalry. Ha! Ha! I'll see when I believe it. But yeah, there's that. And I love what the MAC did. They had a public service announcement that you have 5 weeks to get married, move, have a baby, shower, etc. After that, do not ask me to do anything unless it involves watching MACtion. I believe it. Absolutely, I believe it. So, here's that. I think it's just going to be interesting with this college football season. And then you look at like the big schools, of course. You look at, we'll go into Ohio State, the defending national champions. Will they defend again? The schedule looks good for them. They open up with Texas. It's a tough game for them to open up. Then they host Grambling. Then they host Ohio. Then they go out to Washington. That time of year is very, very tough for them. At home against Minnesota, at the Illini, at Wisconsin, home to Penn State, home to UCLA, on the road to Purdue. That's the game I'm circling could be an upset game. I'm going to tell you that right there. Home to UCLA, home to Rutgers, and then they end at Michigan. Tough games. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 wins. Lost to Texas, I think. Lose to Purdue. Might lose to Michigan. They might have a 9-win season, maybe 10. But we'll see. Then you get to Notre Dame. Notre Dame scheduled this upcoming season. They will start Sunday night, the 31st of August, against Miami. In Miami, the Aflac kickoff. That's a win. At home against Texas A&M, that's a tough game. 7:30 kickoff. Tough game for that one. I can't make a prediction on that one. Home to Purdue. At Arkansas, noon kick on ABC. That's a tough game. Noon kickoff in Arkansas. End of September. It's going to be very, very warm down there. It's going to be tough. At home to Boise State, that's a tough game too as well. Home to NC State, that will probably be a win. Home to USC, that's going to be a win. On the road to Boston College, at home, home game against Navy. On the road at Pitt, at Syracuse, and then they end at Stanford. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe 10 wins this year for Notre Dame. And if you're curious, I will throw this out there. I will throw it out there for you guys. For Michigan. Michigan's schedule for the upcoming season. Of course, they open up at home against New Mexico. The Lobos of New Mexico. By the way, that point spread right now, 34.5 point spread. Right now. 52.5 is the over. Michigan's schedule, they will play New Mexico. Then they're on the road at Oklahoma at 7:30. That's a primetime game on ABC. At home against Central Michigan. Then they get into Big Ten play at Nebraska. At home against Wisconsin. On the road at USC. At home against Washington. Then Big Brother, Little Brother battle it out on the 25th of October. At home against Purdue. On the road at Northwestern. That game, I think, is going to be played at Wrigley Field. But don't quote me on that. I think it's going to be played. Yeah, it's going to be played at Wrigley. At home, on the road at Maryland, and then at home against Ohio State. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wins, possibly 7, maybe 8 wins for Michigan this year. We'll see how that shakes out. So college football around the corner. Of course, this upcoming Thursday, the 31st, we begin the journey that is the NFL football season as the Pro Football Hall of Fame inducts their Hall of Fame class, and the Detroit Lions begin the march to get back to where they want to be and restore the roar and win and bring Lombardi to the Motor City. They will start the Hall of Fame game. They will play the Chargers Thursday, 8 o'clock NBC. Detroit's a 1-point favorite in this game. And, you can't really take much out of this one. There's going to be a lot of second stringers and the third stringers will be playing in this game. No Goff, no St. Brown, no Gibbs. So I'm not really taking much out of this game. I'm going to be looking towards the game against the Dolphins in the preseason for that one, which is the dress rehearsal before we get to play Houston. 4-game preseason schedule for the Lions this year. 4-game preseason schedule. And then the schedule was released. The Lions schedule, it's tough. It is very, very tough this year. I have a lot of questions in this season for the Lions. With the new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator, it's going to help me out a little bit. And I know it's, like I said, the second and third stringers, but to see them on the field calling plays on Thursday is really going to help me out in seeing if this team is going to be for real. But once we get to the Miami game, that's the game I want to look at and see if they're ready, because that's when all the starters are going to probably play a full half of football. But the schedule looks like this for the Detroit Lions. The Lions will open up in Green Bay to take on the Packers. Their home opener will be the following Sunday, week 2, against the Bears. They will play the Ravens in Baltimore. That's a Monday night football game. They will host the Browns week 4 in Detroit, Week 5 in Cincinnati to play the Bengals. Sunday Night Football, October 12th. Detroit goes to Kansas City to take on Patty Mahomes and Travis Kelce and the Kansas City Chiefs. Then they turn back around for Monday Night Football against the Buccaneers, a tough game for them on that run. Then they play. This is why the schedule is so tough for the Lions. After the Bengals game, they play the Chiefs, Bucks, Vikings, Commanders, Eagles. 2, 3, 4, 5 tough opponents. If they could go 2-3 in those 5 games, or 2-3, I'm fine with 2-3 against those tough opponents. 3-2, 4-1, they go 5-0. I'll be like, oh boy, here we go. Then they play the Giants at home. Thanksgiving Day, the 27th, they play the Packers. The following Thursday, they play the Dallas Cowboys in Detroit for the Amazon Thursday Night Special. In LA to battle the Rams, home to the Steelers, on the road to the Vikings, and in Chicago for Week 17 against the Bears. I can't give you a prediction on the Lions season this year. I need to see at least a couple preseason games and at least one with the starters before I make a prediction. So there's that. And on the other side of the lake, this is a tough year for the Browns. I'm going to tell you this right now as a fan, as a guy looking into the Browns. It's going to be a tough year. 3 preseason games for the Browns: at Carolina, at Philadelphia, at home against the Rams. They open up Week 1 with the Bengals. Then they're in Baltimore Week 2 to battle the Ravens. At home against the Packers Week 3. They're in Detroit Week 4. Week 5 is the London game for the Browns. 9:30 in the morning kickoff at Wembley against the Vikings. They come back across the pond the following week to play the Steelers in Pittsburgh. Then host the Dolphins. Go on the road to Foxborough to play the Patriots. In New York to play the Jets. At home against the Ravens. On the road to the Raiders. Home to the 49ers. Home to Tennessee. On the road in Chicago. On the 14th. The 21st. Huge game. The Battle of Lake Erie. The Browns and the Bills. 1 o'clock kickoff. At home against Pittsburgh, and then on the road in Cincinnati to end the season. And by the way, programming note, the Browns do not have a Thursday night game this year. No Thursday night football or Monday night football for the Browns this year. So there's that. Circle of wagons for that. And we'll dive more into the NFL and college football season as we continue this 18th season of All Andy Alfred. As you are watching and listening to us right here on the All Andy Alfred Podcast Network, whether it be on Apple Music, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Bleaker, however you're listening to us and watching us, wherever and whenever you're listening and watching us. Thank you so much for tuning into the podcast. And now it's time for the back pages. It's time also for Andy Rants tonight. Now, I'm going to take my glasses off for a minute, because I'm frustrated about a couple things. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to be blunt with you about something. I'm going to be blunt with you. This week was the Greater Toledo Classic. Now you're saying to yourself, Andy, what's the Greater Toledo Classic? Greater Toledo Classic is the replacement to the Dana Open / Marathon Classic / Jamie Farr Owens Corning Classic / Jamie Farr Kroger Classic, however you want to talk about it. Now, the LPGA is over in Scotland doing the Scottish Open. Next week is the British Open. So it was now LPGA players in this event. It's the Aspen Tour, which is the step that gets the players to where they need to get to the LPGA. as well as the LPGA legends that came into town for this. What I was told, and it was from a good, reliable source, from a friend of mine that was at the course, and it was there for the week, that the attendance was very, very low. The attendance was bad this year. And I'm going to tell you why it was bad this year. One, the weather was terrible this week. We had a lot of rain, a lot of postponements, a lot of the tournament was postponed. But that's not why, in my opinion. That's not why. The Aspen Tour is the key word, Aspen Tour. Now, these ladies, and I'm not knocking the Aspen Tour at all. I totally respect it. And we have had Aspen Tour players play in the Dana Open and play in the Marathon Classic and played in all these tournaments. Getting the exemptions, breaking in, that's fine. But the attendance is key. It's absolutely key when it's the LPGA players that are there. Absolutely there. Because it draws the crowds. It draws the fans. It draws the media to come in and cover this. I watched all week on WTOL 11 and 13 ABC. They used to do a full hour show about this tournament. Did not get anything this week about it. No full hour show, no half hour show, no, just a blip on the radar. Because it's the Aspen Tour and the legends of the LPGA. It's not Nelly Korda. It's not Charlie Hall. It's not Brooke Henderson. It's not Lydia Ko. It's not Rose Zhang. It's not any of the great women golfers at this tournament. It's not. And you want to know why the attendance is low. Not because of the weather. It's because of this. So if I was Judd Silverman, and there's a quote, it was interviewed, Stacey Lewis was interviewed today on BCSN. You go, we'll clip that clip. We will clip it. They were asked about this tournament, the future of this tournament. And she wants the LPGA to come back. Or to keep this style tournament in Toledo, because Toledo deserves an event like this. I want the LPGA to come back to Toledo. I want the LPGA in Toledo. It is a treat. The amount of money that comes in for this tournament, the publicity that comes in to this tournament, it needs to be done. It needs to be happening. It needs to be done. Judd Silverman, get it done. Get that crew together and get the LPGA back to Toledo and Sylvania. Because what you got this weekend proves, without a shadow of a doubt, that the LPGA is much better than the Aspen Tour. If that means moving the tournament to June, moving the tournament to August, moving the tournament away from the big events. And here's the kicker. 2027, the U.S. Women's Open is at Inverness. At Inverness. Okay? You want to promote it. Bring the LPGA back. If you love them, tell them. If you loved them here at Highland Meadows, get ready for them at Inverness. They want big crowds for this U.S. Women's Open that's going to take place at Inverness. You need to promote this. My idea was this. My idea was this at the beginning. If the LPGA was to come into Toledo, you scrap it for a year. You scrap it for a year. Get the promoting it up for the 2026 Dana Open. Get some money, getting some more support. Get Dana back into it. Get Owens Corning back into it. Get Libby Glass into it. Get ProMedica into it. Get somebody that's going to bring a bigger purse so that we can get bigger players to come into town. Because what I've heard from representatives of the LPGA, they say this is the worst tournament because the food selection's not good. The players are away from the course for a while. They have to travel a little bit more of a distance. So why not scrap for this year? Scrap it. Make 2026 a lot better to build up for 2027 and then tap it in 2027. Because what you did this weekend, and don't get me wrong, Mia Hammond, a great story. 17 years old, from New Albany, winning the tournament. Stanford winning it in a two-hole playoff. Great. It's great. But it's not Nelly Korda. It's not Charlie Hall. It's not Brooke Henderson. It's not Lydia Ko. It's not Rose. It's not Jasmine Wannasayan. It's not Elena Sharp. It's not Lexi Thompson. It's not Stacey Lewis on the course playing. It's not Lilia Vu. It's not any. Get the LPGA back. Make it happen. Make it happen. I mean, I had tickets this weekend to go. I was going to go. Was I going to cover it here? No. But bring the LPGA back to Toledo. We want it back. We deserve to have it back. And have these players come back. Because if you don't promote this, if you don't bring the LPGA back, 2027 is going to look terrible for the city of Toledo. It's going to look terrible for all golf in the city of Toledo. And that's why I didn't cover it. I would have came back last week to get you ready for this tournament, to cover it. Like we always have done. We have always covered the LPGA with vigor on this podcast. I have had people from Sweden, from Korea, from Thailand, from all parts of the world to get the coverage for the LPGA for this event, because we're one of the only ones that cover that event to the extent that people from around the world listen to this podcast. Bring the LPGA back to Toledo. Because if you don't, I don't know what's going to happen. But it's not going to look good. It's not going to look good. Of course, the second part of the Indy Rants is we lost a lot of legends this week. Ozzy Osbourne from Black Sabbath. We lost Chuck Mangione. We lost Malcolm Jamal Warner. But the big one for me was Thursday. My wife was the one that broke the news to me that Hulk Hogan passed away. From cardiac arrest. Now, Hulk, to me, was the 90s, was the 2000s for me in pro wrestling. My neighbor, my friends across the street, Neil and Kyle Robbins, they were watching WCW. They watched it at 7 o'clock. because that's when Turner would put it on, 7 o'clock, and be on from 7 to 10, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm not mistaken, what it would be, it was like a 3-hour show, maybe a 2-hour show. And then Raw would be on from 8 to 11 on USA or Spike TV or whatever it was. So I would watch the first hour of WCW over at my friend Neil and Kyle's house. And then about 7:45, I'd walk across the street and watch with my grandmother and my mother, and we watch Monday Night Raw. I was a WWE guy. They were a WCW guy. That was my first time looking at Hulk Hogan as in the NWO colors, in being that bad guy with Eric Bischoff and Kevin Nash and Ray and Scott Hall. And when he made the transition to WWF / WWE, came back, I had mixed reviews on him, but I respected his craft. I respect Hulk Hogan. I also respect him when he did this reality TV show with his daughter Brooke and his son Nick, and at the time his wife Linda. They were on VH1. It opened up the eyes to that, and then when Brooke had her spin-off show, and then getting to see Hulk when he was in TNA for a little bit, and then coming back to WWE and going into the Hall of Fame. I will say this. I will always remember where I was at when Hulk Hogan went into the WWE Hall of Fame, and the night that he did the surprise appearance in LA when he got inducted. I was at my grandmother's house over on North Haven, watching the pay-per-view with my aunt, my 2 aunts, my uncle, and my grandmother, who are in pro wrestling as well. And they had the big bubble screen TV, and they brought the pay-per-view. We watched it, and watching Hulk Hogan come down the ramp, beating up the 2 Muslim guys that they were fighting, beating up Eugene with at the time. Seeing Hulk Hogan being that good guy made me more into watching his stuff. And to me, watching the WrestleMania 3 match with him and Andre was honestly put me into, even though that match was definitely dominated by Andre. But then when Hulk slammed him, picked him up and slammed him, and then the momentum and Hulk hulked up and won the match and was there. This battle was against Macho Man Randy Savage, against the Ultimate Warrior. I wish we would have gotten Hulk versus Ric Flair in WWE, WWF. We got it in WCW, but it was just too far up past the time of both those guys. The time when Hulk Hogan got screwed by Ric Flair, and The Undertaker won his first match and first title. I'll never forget watching that match, too. But Hulk, you will be sorely missed. You are professional wrestling. You are a terrific man. My thoughts and prayers are with the Hogan family. Thoughts and prayers are with also Ozzy and Ozzy's family, Sharon, and the family, as well as Chuck Mangione's family, as well as all the Cosby family, with Malcolm Jamal Warner passing last Sunday from a drowning as well. So they die in 3s, and there's the 3rd, and Chuck Mangione was the 4th. So yeah, thoughts and prayers are with the Hogan family. And getting into wrestling really quickly, I want to get into this SummerSlam happening this upcoming weekend. The big match, of course, John Cena versus Cody Rhodes. In a street fight, you also have CM Punk versus Gunther. The OTC of Roman Reigns coming back. He's going to wrestle with Jey Uso, taking on Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. Seth Rollins, this whole injury with Seth Rollins it's for real. I think Rollins really is hurt. We don't see where LA Knight's going to be in SummerSlam. I like the women's tag match with Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss versus Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez. I think that's going to be a good match. Jacob Fatu versus Solo Sikoa in a cage match. Like that match a lot. I don't understand why we're doing Sami Zayn and Karrion Kross round 3 at SummerSlam. We've had that now twice. Both guys have won both matches, so I think this is the rubber match, and have it at the big stage, of course. Jelly Roll versus Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul, and we're finding out that Drew McIntyre actually be stuck in England because he has lost his passport. It's according to some sources, as well as Drew McIntyre's Twitter account. So there's that. You have the Intercontinental Championship match. Dominic Mysterio versus AJ Styles. I think Dom's going to lose the title there. I also think that Becky's going to lose the title as she's facing the Lyra Valkyrian. But I don't know where you're going to put Bayley. Bayley deserves a match. You also have Tiffany Stratton versus Jade Cargill. It's a two-night SummerSlam, Friday and Saturday night, and the two headlining matches will be Gunther versus CM Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship on Saturday, and Sunday will be the match between Cody Rhodes and John Cena. So we'll give you all the preview for that on Thursday's edition of All Andy, Wednesday night's edition of All Andy Alfred. Of course, AEW, their big pay-per-view All In came out this past week. Hangman beating Jon Moxley, Toni Storm beating Mercedes Moné. That was a huge win too. You also have, like I said, but Hangman's win against Jon Moxley was huge, absolutely huge. Dustin Rhodes winning the TNT Championship after Adam Cole had to vacate the championship because he looks like his career is done. You have Athena winning the Casino Royale match. You have MJF winning the Casino Royale match. The Hurt Syndicate keeps their championship belts. And the Patriarchy screws over Christian, and Copeland, formerly Edge, and Adam Copeland comes back and helps out Christian Cage, but didn't help Christian Cage. He just wanted to go find himself. So there's that. Yeah, I liked All In. It was a great pay-per-view. Very long, very, very long pay-per-view. And then you had Saturday Night Main Event that happened right after that, and Goldberg's final match. And by the way, fuck Goldberg. I'm just going to tell you that right now. Fuck Goldberg. For what he did when WWE rolled out the carpet for him at the last match of the year, and he loses to Gunther, and then he basically says, thank you, and they write him off. And then he comes back and says, you know what? I'm not going to, I don't like what happened with me. So you know what? Fuck you. Fuck you, Goldberg. So there's that. By the way, I want to also say congratulations to my good friend Dave LaGreca and all of the cast at Pro Wrestling Nation 24/7 for getting the channel and having 24-hour coverage. I love listening to Sirius XM and Pro Wrestling 24/7. I listen to them. I listen to Christopher Mad Dog Russo. I listen to all of them on Sirius XM when I'm not listening to this podcast on repeat, which is All Andy Alfred, as we're in season 18 of All Andy Alfred tonight. Of course, Eli Mott wins the LPGA Scottish Open. Now we turn to the British Open for the LPGA event, of course. And like I mentioned, you heard my rant about the LPGA in Toledo. So we will be back on the air Wednesday night to recap the Tiger series against the Diamondbacks. Of course, the Guardian series against the Rockies, the big series for the Reds as they take on the Dodgers. Mudhens are back home on Tuesday to play St. Paul. We'll dive more and more into the NFL schedule as well as in the college football schedule, as well as preview the week for the women's golf over for the British Open for them. So there is all that. Again, thank you for tuning into the show tonight. Thank you for being a part of the show. Always. You can follow us on Twitter. It is at All Andy Alfred. Subscribe wherever you listen and watch our podcast. Please subscribe and always be a part of the conversation, either on Twitter or on Facebook. So, until I talk to you guys Wednesday night right here on All Andy Alfred, this is Andy Alfred saying, I'm pulling for you. We're all in this together. The game of life. Keep your stick on the ice. And to the teams you root for at home, and to my teams, go Jackets! Go Walleye! Go Tigers! Go Guardians! Go Reds! Go Hens! And more birdies and less bogeys, because victory is sweetest when you have tasted defeat. Have a great night, everybody, and a great week ahead. I will talk to you guys Wednesday night right here on All Andy Alfred. Love you, babe. Talk to you later.